Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on these earrings, and these earrings use some of the beads from Eureka Crystal Beads and Gina from Orchid and Opal Jewelry and Beads collaboration. That's a mouthful, called Summer in Sicily. So I did use the stones, these cushion cuts, and these earring posts. I added some beads of my own as well, but this is what I came up with so far. I'm going to work on that big stone too, that big gorgeous teardrop stone. That'll be coming up. But right now we're going to work on these earrings, and I'll just show you the back. The back is completely finished as well, so you'll look pretty coming and going. All right, so I'm going to clear everything off. We'll get a materials list going and we'll get started. So I'll tell you what I used from the collection and of course what I added. So here is the Miyuki round seed beads mix in galvanized. It's a size mix in galvanized gold. I used the 8-ohs, 11-ohs, and 15-ohs from this mix. Then we've got these two gorgeous cushion cut stones, and they are absolutely stunning. We've got the earring posts, and these are, what are they? I think they're Gleamcraft, yeah. And they've, look at these gorgeous, aren't they pretty? I think they really, really make the earring look beautiful. I mean, it really adds to the earring. So we've got those. We've got 4mm pearls. We've got, and there's another pair of ear wires in there. I put these out in case you don't have those. Or you don't have the collection, so here you can just use a pair of, just ear wires. And then we've got these oval jump rings, which I love. These are great. Did I do the delicas? We've got these delicas. This is from the collection as well. And then what I added was I added a mini duo, and I added some fire polish beads. You need more than this, 3mm fire polish beads. And I'm thinking maybe you could use the 8-oh from the collection. So that's everything that I used. I've got a little stop bead. I used 4-pound fire line because you're using tiny beads and going through the beads a lot. 4-pound is a wonderful thread to have. I really recommend that you have some 4-pound. I've got some needles on my little cushion, and I've got a 15-oh and 11-ohs. And I've got, whatever else is there just in case I need it. Did I say stop bead? Okay, I think that's it. So I'm going to clear this off, and we will get started on these earrings. So if you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when I upload a video. That really helps my channel. All right, let's get started. Just a note before we start, some of the 11-ohs like here and the 8-ohs here, I switched the color to a more opaque color because just for video purposes, because it was getting very reflective and I wasn't sure you'd be able to see everything. So, you could just use the mix from the collection, which will be listed in the description box below the video. And I'll put this color into just in case you want to use it. All right, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 4 feet of thread, put on a stop bead and leave about a 12-inch tail. We'll use that tail. Picked up and dropped down to my stop bead, a mini duo and an 8-oh, and I did that 8 times. Now I'm going to sew these into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead, right here, and I'm just going to go all the way around to reinforce all those beads. So I've come all the way around, and I passed where my stop bead is, and I, just went a little bit further and came out the bottom hole of a mini. So I'm going to sew through the top hole. And I like to do this because, go past the stop bead because it kind of completes the circle. So this is where I'm exiting. Okay, so I'm exiting the top hole of that mini duo. I'm going to pick up a fire polish and I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next one. Just like that. Then I'm going to pick up an 11-oh, a pearl, and an 11-oh, so that's a 4mm pearl. And I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next mini. I'm just going to repeat this all the way around. So fire polish through the next mini. 11-oh, pearl, 11-oh, through the next one. Just with my tail thread. Like so. So you're going to just do that alternating all the way around. Okay, last 11-0 pearl 11-0. Exiting this mini, I'm going to sew through this one mini. I'm going to go right on through the fire polish and through the next mini duo. So just like that. Okay, next up, we're going to pick up an 11-0, a Delica, and an 11-0. I'm exiting this mini. I'm going to sew through the next one, and that's going to place those 3 beads right in front of that pearl. I'm going to advance through the next fire polish and the next mini and do the same thing. 11-0, Delica, 11-0. Exiting this mini, I'm going to sew through this one, and I'll just go ahead and just go through the next, that fire polish as well, and then through the mini. Got it. Just going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, we're putting on our last 11-0 Delica, 11-0, exiting this mini, sewing through this mini, the top hole of the next mini, and then I'm going to advance my needle through the next fire polish, the mini, top hole of that mini, and the 11-0 and the Delica of that first group here. So you want to be exiting the Delica, just like that. This is what we have so far. Okay, we're exiting the Delica right here. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, 5 15-0s, and an 11-0. Exiting the Delica, I'm going to sew through the next one. So just like that. Let's do that again. 11-0, 5 15-0s, and an 11-0. Exiting the Delica, I'm going to sew through the next one. So you're going to do that 2 more times. Okay, last 11-0, 5 15-0s, and 11-0. Forget that 11-0, I just forgot mine. Exiting the Delica, sewing through the next one. It's going to put on the bezel for the stone. So you're exiting the Delica right there. Let's position our stone. So I put mine in, so actually I put the flat part at the top and the sort of the corners over here opposite the fire polish. So just like that, force this all the way around. So I'm just going to hold it, exiting the Delica. I'm going to sew through all the beads, including the Delica. Like so. Don't get caught like I did. There you go. Keep doing that. You're just going to do this all the way around, just reinforcing. So do that, come all the way around, so it's 2 more times, and then I want you to exit an 11-0 before a Delica. Okay, so I'm exiting an 11-0 before Delica. Now I'm going to reinforce again, only I'm going to skip the Delicas, and that's going to just pull it in just a little bit. So exiting this 11-0, I'm just going to skip the Delica, and I'm going to sew through all the 11-0, 5 15-0s on the 11-0. Do that again, skipping the Delica, sewing through all this group here. Again. So you just want to do this all the way around until you've completed everything, and that'll give it sort of this sort of pulled in look a little bit and tighten things up. So if you're happy and you don't want to, you can go around again, but I think it's fine at this point. I'm exiting the 11-0. I'm going to sew through the Delica, just like that. So we're exiting a Delica. I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s and I'm going to sew from the Delica to the fire polish. Those sit right there. I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s. Exiting the fire polish, I'm going to sew through the Delica. So I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. 3 15-0s, exiting the Delica, through the fire polish, 3 15-0s, from fire polish to the Delica. Got it. Just going to continue that until you have all your 15-0s on. Last 3 15-0s from the fire polish to this Delica, like so. This is what we have so far. So we're exiting a Delica. We put all those 15-0s on. Now we're going to add one more round. So we're exiting the Delica. I'm going to sew through the first 3 15-0s, the fire polish. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. I'm going to sew through the 11-0 right before the purl. And then another 15-0, I'm going to sew through the purl. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. I'm going to sew through the 11-0 on the other side of the purl. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. I'm going to sew through the fire polish. So we're just going to repeat this, keep doing this all the way around. So do it one more time. 15-0, exiting the fire polish. Sew through the 11-0. 15-0 through the purl, 15-0 through the 11-0, 15-0, you got it, through the fire polish, and so on. So I'll let you just go off and finish that, and then we'll work on the back. So I've put on all my 15-0s. My last one is right here, and I went through the fire polish. Now if you want to continue to use this thread to put on the earring post, you can, or you can just sew this thread in and add another thread. So if you're going to use the thread, you're exiting the fire polish. I'm just going to sew through the 15-0 and the 11-0, and then this 15-0 like that. So this is where you're going to be to start the earring post, but before we do that, we're going to work on the back. So I've turned to the back, taken off my stop bead, threaded a needle. You'll be exiting one of the minis. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, an 11-0, and a 15-0. Exiting this mini, I'm just going to sew through the next one, the next 8-0, and the next mini. And I'm just going to push it over with my thumb. It's not going to stay. We're going to put another bead through the top, the points of all of them, and that will make everything connect nicely. So 15-0, 11-0, 15-0. Exiting the mini, I'm going to sew through the next mini, 8-0 mini, and they'll be kind of like so. So you're going to do that 2 more times. Okay, last 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, exiting the mini, I'm going to sew through this mini, the 8-0, and the next mini. And we'll push those down as we go. And then I'm going to sew up through the first 15-0 and the 11-0 of that first little point right there. So just like that, and you can kind of push these down a little bit. I'm going to pick up a Delica. I'm exiting the 11-0 up here. I'm going to sew through the next one. Now at any time, if you need to put more beads on or a bigger bead, you can do that. You know, sometimes when you do the back of something, it just depends on your tension, whatever. So if you find that you need to just fill in more, just play with some of your, the 15-0s there. I think this is going to be fine. So here I'm just going through all of them, adding a Delica. Yeah, that looks good. And then you just want to reinforce all the way around, and then your back, you can sew that thread in and your back will be done. Add the earring post, and I love how the post looks with this earring. I think it's so pretty. It's like, it makes it look so summery. I can't wait to wear this. I'm going to wear this on my birthday. My birthday's coming up later in the summer, but I don't know, I'm just feeling it. So let's put the earring post on. Okay, let's get the post on. So first thing I did is I put an oval jump ring on the post so I can sew in this direction. And you're exiting this 15-0 on the side of the pearl. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. Where are you guys? Here you are. And a fire polish. I'm going to sew through the ring like that. And then I'm going to pick up a fire polish and a 15-0. And I'm going to sew through the 15-0 on the other side of the pearl. So right there. And you want to make sure, we're going to make sure that this ring stays in between the beads, and we'll get there. So then we're exiting this 15-0. I'm going to sew through the pearl like that. And then through these two 15-0s like that, just through the fire polish, and then I'm going to add two 15-0s. I just want a little reassurance that that ring is going to stay there. And I'm going to sew through the ring and the fire polish on the other side. And those two are just going to, just make it nice and secure so there's, it's not going to end up on thread. Then I'm going to sew through these two to complete everything. So this is what it looks like. And then all you want to do at this point is just reinforce. You can go around again and then come through the beads, tie some half-hitch knots, make sure you're nice and secure, and you'll have an earring. Okay, we're back and we're done, and I think they came out great. I'm really happy with them. I really think this post elevates them. I think it looks so pretty. This is, I think, just so summery in this color. I mean, you could make this in, and some, like cyan or some, amethyst or real crystally colors, and you can make them very dressy. But I think these are summer earrings in this color. They're absolutely gorgeous. Makes me want to just go and just jump in the ocean. So pretty. All right, I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.